everybody looks the same and says the same things. And so because everybody looks and says the same stuff, the only way to differentiate largely is to do discounts and gimmicks, right? And that marketing brings in those non-desirable patients that doctors aren't sure why they're there, right? They don't have credit, all those things. Those put a strain on the system. Those one and done relationships put strains on the practice that the doctor then goes out and tries to get a remedy to. So you've got no strategy, no differentiation is driving this value discount game that puts pressure on the practice. It drives the doctor nuts, and they keep reaching for the next Hail Mary because all they want to do is get out of debt and grow.
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Dental Truth Project. Today, we are thrilled to have dental marketing expert and key opinion leader Sean Hamel with us. But before we hear from him and the truth that he wants to share, we're going to begin with our Ask Ken segment.
Outstanding. Thank you. And this is a great question that's come through today. The question is, when should a practice stop thinking like a practice and start thinking like a DSO? This is a good question, and it's also a slippery slope because every DSO has to be great at operating dental practices and at supporting doctors and everything that goes with it. And so I really think that this individual is maybe trying to say, hey, when should I focus more on the DSO and growth than the dental practices? And the reality is you never get to let go of those dental practices. They're everything. And so I would say worry less about your DSO infrastructure, worry more about building amazing dental practices that have repeatable and scalable processes. And then once you're at that point, then that's the time when you want to start thinking probably more like a DSO and thinking, okay, can we buy more practices? Should we do de novos? And then you can get into your growth strategy from there. All right, I'll hand it back over to you, Dallin.
Sweet. Thank you for that, Ken. Now, Sean, the time is yours. Go ahead and give a quick intro to yourself for our listeners that don't know you, and then jump right into the truth you want to share with us today.
Yeah, thank you again for having me. Sean Hamel, founder and CEO of The Art of Dental Marketing, where we do dental marketing very differently based in story and ethical persuasion. A lot of the things that are missing in dental marketing, and the industry of dental marketing itself is flawed. There's a lot of things that are broken, mainly messaging, strategy, the communication and things that practices, the messages that they're putting out there. And this applies to single practices or multi-location practices. Dental marketing inherently is broken, and practices and marketers both need to work together in order to get a better product to the industry. Most dentists that you meet have had a bad experience with marketing. And I think I've kind of figured out a formula of why that happens. But also we've been able to really crack the code, if you will, using story and emotion to help practices actually grow and not just spend money hoping that there's going to be some kind of growth.
That's awesome.
Let's dig into it. So imagine that I am a dental practice, and we're going to have to start from the foundation here because neither Ken nor I are really marketing experts. And we've had a lot of experience on the DSO side, but again, not really in the marketing world. So when it comes to marketing a dental practice, we're pretty new. So imagine that I'm a practice. What problems am I experiencing because dental marketing is broken? Like, where do I feel that pain?
Yeah, great question. It's a multi-problem. There's a few things just out of the gate before you even get to actually marketing the practice that are issues. And I always like to lead with, I'm not saying dental marketing companies are nefarious. They're not. I'm not saying anything negative about anybody in particular. It's just kind of this relationship of buy a package, get a monthly report, call the 800 number has kind of become the standard for growth and marketing structure in dental. And it's problematic because dentistry isn't a feature and benefit business. It's not a normal type of business. It's a relationship and experience business, right? And so with that piece, you've also got stacked on there the fact that statistically most people are afraid, they don't want to be there. So you've got all of these really unique things to marketing a dental practice that you just don't have in other verticals. Everybody looks the same and says the same things. And so because everybody looks and says the same stuff, the only way to differentiate largely is to do discounts and gimmicks, right? And that marketing brings in those non-desirable patients that doctors aren't sure why they're there, right? They don't have credit, all those things, those put a strain on the system. Those one and done relationships put strains on the practice that the doctor then goes out and tries to get a remedy to. And a lot of the options that are in the space, they're not necessarily built towards strategy or customization. It's pick a package, right? So you have kind of these generic messages that line back up, which puts stress on the practice because now we're focused solely on new patient, new patient, new patient. We're not talking about existing patient. So from there, the marketing starts to fall off again. The doctor goes out, hires the next marketing company, does everything they say. The phone's still not ringing. We're still not growing. And so the marketing company says, oh, well, you want to get busy. We'll just run a special or a promo this month. And starts back over. So you've got no strategy, no differentiation is driving this value discount game that puts pressure on the practice. It drives the doctor nuts, and they keep reaching for the next Hail Mary because all they want to do is get out of debt and grow. And so it's just this cycle that continues to happen between the marketers and the practices. And there's really no understanding or focus on the messaging, the core messaging of fear, anxiety, not understanding what's happening, all of those things. You can't rinse and repeat a business that people are afraid of and that they don't understand. Right? They don't know who the best clinician is. So you telling them that you're clinically superior, you have this training, that training, largely falls on deaf ears for people because they don't understand it. What they understand is the patient experience. And that's the thing that's not being communicated. That's the marketing differentiator that's not being communicated. And it's a huge problem.
I think I get what you're putting down. So the big problem is most marketing companies are using the same strategies and the same type of messaging for their dental practices. So it creates a world where every dental practice looks the same and sound the same. Their websites say the same thing. Their Google reviews all say the same thing. Like, it's difficult to tell them apart from each other. And so the only solution that seems to work when these dental marketers are structuring the message the way that they think it should and something isn't working is they create discounts and promos that bring in the wrong kind of patients. They lose the practice money. And then that starts a negative cycle where the doctor says, this isn't working. Let's move on to the next company. They're not working. Let's move on to the next company. And so the dentist office is churning marketing companies, and the marketing companies are all doing the same thing, and no one really knows what's wrong.
Well, and I think I'm going to throw something onto that down because the other component is it's not just like the packages and all those things. It's actually the mindset of how do we get into the minds of the patients and serve the patients at the place that they are at, as opposed to shoving the package into them or trying to drive that through. Is that a fair way to say that, Sean?
You just hit on one of the main things, Ken. You're right. Like that piece alone, the mindset part, is the part that most marketing completely misses. And it starts with that fear and self-preservation, but also understanding that most people, when you say you're a dentist, they give you things. So if I tell you I'm a pilot, you give me certain things. I fly something, right? And so with dentistry, smart, capable, works on teeth, right? And yet all of the messaging is trying to reinforce the thing that somebody has already given you. So we're showing them everything that they're afraid of. People in scrubs, people with tools, white coats, loops, right? Everybody looks the same, and it's stock photography. Nothing about the actual experience, nothing about the outcome. And so of course it falls on deaf ears. When I speak, I always talk about if you went into a car dealership to buy a car and the salesman said, all of our cars have windshield wipers and turn signals, you'd be like, duh, right? Because you already expect those things to be there. When you say I'm a dentist, people expect that you are a doctor, that you're smart, that you're capable, that you can give them the outcome. They don't know who the best clinician is. So you constantly telling them you're better than your competitors
doesn't do anything.
No. And so that's the driver, is that mindset of stop telling them stuff that they already have given you. Start talking to them about the things that make your practice unique, where they're going to get a better experience, their outcome. Shift the marketing from being about you and make it about them, and where you're guiding them to whatever outcome, sleeping better, looking better, feeling better, being more confident, whatever it may be. That's what they're buying, is the future version of whatever we're fixing now. That's it. That's the only thing that they're buying. And you need to be the person that they like, know, trust, right? People say like, know, and trust a lot. That's why referrals work so well. This was the light bulb moment for me. And, we may go over a little bit on time with this, but your editors can go back and cut this out because I think that first answer I gave you is tough because I did hit on like 15 things in one answer. The main thing, though, that drives this is you've got basically inexperience. You've got people getting into dental marketing that haven't earned the right to be here yet. I say that because I had to earn this. When I started in dental marketing, I thought I was the smartest guy in the room because I have a degree in marketing. Of course, I can sell dentistry.
Mm,
And I was terrible at it. But the thing, when I started with a friend of mine, that's how I got started, was helping a friend. He was really extroverted and was really good at relationships. And that's when I started to notice that referrals were simple. Like that patient would just come. I mean, it was no shopping, right? And I was like, there has to be something here of why does this work so well? And that's where I got into, oh, well, they're afraid and all of the things that drive the decision. But that was where I got into it. But that's where I noticed a lot of the marketing options that are out there, they're well intentioned, they're good, hardworking people, but they haven't earned the expertise in this niche yet. Or it's people that buy work from home, work 4 hours a day, make $30,000 a month selling Google ads to dentists. They buy this package from a business influencer. They come in with scripts. You've seen it. You've seen these all on X people. You can tell this person has never worked in dentistry before, right? But you see, it's the same thing. It's the same package. It's the same flyers. It's the same promo. They bought that somewhere and they're creating content because they have the scripts and they're writing the Google ads based on the generic scripts that they bought, right? That's a big problem. You also have the problem of there's a lot of salespeople that sell services to dentists. They're not actually marketers. There's no strategy. There's no customization. None of that's going on. And so it's a problem because the relationship is what people are buying. That's what keeps them around. Every practice is different because every doctor is different. Their approach to dentistry is different. You see how this starts to stack? So you've got that problem. Then you've got the fact that we're largely conditioned to this generic model of website SEO, paid ads. Here's your 30 social media posts. Here's the 800 number. It doesn't work. If it did work, it would be working, right?
and it's not.
Right. So you've got all of those things happening. And on the other side of that cycle, which is everything's generic, the only way to differentiate is discounts, which brings in non-desirable patients that puts pressure on the system because dentistry is a repeat relationship business. Then the doctor goes out and they're like, hey, I need help. Hey, I need help. Hey, I need help. The marketing options they're getting served, there's not a lot of vetting of the work, right? I could come in and say, hey, I'm a dental marketing expert, create a mass amount of content with AI and buy every major sponsorship. And I would get clients, right?
Yeah.
There's no vetting of the work. There's no track record of success. There's none of that stuff that really can come into play because there's so much need, but the marketers themselves haven't caught up with, hey, here's how I can actually move the needle for these practices. So that's when I say the industry is broken. It is broken, but we can all collectively work together to make it better.
And what the thing that I'm taking away from what you've been talking about, Sean, and by the way, love that you have so much experience and thought and the way that you've crystallized that down. I know that that's taken you probably a long time to really even be able to kind of articulate what these problems are and these challenges are. But the reality is it starts like all of this has to start at the core, like what that one physician wants to do and what they want to try to accomplish. And then everything then needs to be built completely around that. Whereas what we're seeing right now is here's some marketing and they throw it at you, but you're completely missing really the essence of who that provider is or who they're trying to be, right? Skill into up to whatever they need to be because they have, passion about how they want to serve patients.
Yeah. And that's in group practices. Yeah. It's really setting the tone of this is who we are. Obviously you're going to operate within that space, but this is kind of the core of, expectation of how we want things to be according to this is who the brand is. And a lot of doctors, and it's really not their fault. They graduate, got a lot of debt to pay for, got a lot of stress, got to be successful, got to do all the things. And they're trying to have families and enjoy life and do all the things. And then they've also got all these people nitpicking at them all day of, hey, that thing that you bought, it's not working. Hey, that thing you're doing is wrong. Hey, and it's just nitpicking constantly. It's tough. I mean, it is. And you don't know who to listen to, right? But setting that as a single owner.
There's a lot of opinions out there.
Yeah. Setting that as a single owner or as a multi-location, you're absolutely right. The brand identity is the cornerstone. And if the patient experience is repeatable, great. Because the beautiful thing with dentistry, I meet hundreds of doctors, all the time. All the things that make their practices cool, all the things they're most proud of is usually non-existent in the marketing. So the neat thing that patients love or this thing that they do, nowhere. And so you have to read the Google reviews. And I encourage doctors, read your Google reviews, read them for the fact that you're going to see things in there of stuff that you're intending to do that's happening, stuff that you're intending to do that's not happening, but also stuff that you're doing that you don't mean to do, but it's just
Working.
something people, yeah.
Mhm.
Because the best thing that any dental practice can do, guys, is figure out who they are. Like you said, Ken, figure out who you are and what you want to be. Read your Google reviews and get who you are and what you want to be to line up with who you are and what people are getting. And then when you have that, here's who we are, and the patient gets, here's what I got, and they sync. Perfect, right? Because setting expectation, meeting expectation, what happens when you do that with people? Safety, happy, all the experiences that you want. And the beautiful thing is that synergy then helps with referrals and stuff, but it also helps with creating advocacy for you, because somebody comes in, you don't miss a beat, you give them everything they want and more. Of course, they're going to go tell everybody how awesome you are, right? Because every patient that comes into practice, all the people listening to this podcast, while we've been talking this morning, have had butts in their chair. And every single person that leaves, somebody is going to say, hey, how's the dentist today? To them. And these are simple things that you can do. You don't need to focus on all these little things. You don't need to buy everything under the sun. Kind of with what we do at ADM, it gets down to stop being seen. Visibility isn't the issue. It's getting picked is the problem. So stop being seen, get chosen. That's everything that we focus on, is being chosen, because being seen isn't hard anymore. Right.
Yeah. I love your focus on the patient experience in all of this. It actually reminds me, I got my start working at a DSO, and I was working front desk at the DSO. So nothing special, nothing super important. But my very first day, my boss sat me down and she said, any one of the patients that come into our group today could go somewhere else and get the exact same level of service. And there's another dental office very similar to us down the street. There's another one that's a block over. There's another one a block over that. The reason why we are different is because we are not a dental office. We're a customer service business. We are selling an experience. We're selling a way that we make people feel. We are different than every other dental office in this city because we are razor focused on creating the best experience possible for our patients. And they were crushing it. They were doing awesome. Fantastic. And I think it's because of that mentality and focus. And it's totally changed the way that I view and approach dentistry. Like I got that lecture on day one and it continues to hold true.
And the person that told you that probably doesn't even realize the impact to the bottom line that just that one conversation with you had, because there is so much opportunity cost. I mean, I see practices, and I know we've covered a lot today, but I see so many offices that focus on getting people's attention and new patients. And the focus falls off once we have their attention, and we're not thinking about value per patient, right? We're not thinking about squeezing and maxing value out of those appointments. And you can do that with creativity and strategy. And when you ask for things and not asking a patient that's in the chair if they want to buy something else, because when they're in the chair, guess what? They don't want to be there. And so when you have somebody that's fearful, that's in an uncomfortable place, asking them to spend money in that space is going to have a different outcome if you ask them a week or two before and they're in the comfort of their home, right? Because once you have their attention, once they've confirmed an appointment and they're coming to see you, all most practices do is just say, hey, you have an appointment coming. That's an opportune time to talk to them. And I talk about that as I call it the confirm to come in window, but that's an opportune time to chat with them because you have their attention. They know that they're coming in, and anything that has your name on it or that's from you, it's going to ping because they know that it's coming. But focusing on, like you said, experience. They could go anywhere else. They come here for things not clinical. They come here because we make them feel good, right? Like all the things that happen. And that's largely out there, right? A lot of this stuff is out there that's important. The problem, guys, is that people don't know how to practically use that to make money. And that's really where what we do helps in that way of actually being able to be strategic and leverage those things to turn into patients in the chair that are buying dentistry.
Yeah. Well, this is all fascinating, fantastic content. I love that over the course of the podcast, we've not only identified some key problems, but for any practices out there that are listening, Sean, you've also given great first steps, very practical advice. Things like the confirmation window, right? Like do more than just confirm the appointment when you're confirming the appointment. Look at your Google reviews and figure out, how do people perceive you and how does that match with the way we want to be perceived? Those are very practical things that anyone can do to get started.
Yeah, I
Unfortunately,
appreciate it.
Unfortunately, we're about out of time here. Got to wrap up. But this has been a great conversation. Obviously, there's a lot more that we could have talked about. If any of our listeners want to continue the conversation, keep on learning more, what's the best way they can contact you, Sean?
You can find me on any socials. My social media handle is storybased Sean, or you can always go to artofdentalmarketing.com and get in touch with my team and I. You can also email me at Sean, Sean, I spell it the right way, Sean at artofdentalmarketing.com. Or they can reach out to you guys, and you guys obviously know how to get in touch with me too. Anything I can do to help. And that was a great wrap up. You're absolutely right.
Awesome. Thank you again for coming on, Sean. Thanks for blessing our listeners with your wisdom. And to everyone out there in podcast land, wow, it's the first time I've ever said that. That was weird. But to everyone out there listening, hope you have a great day, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, guys.